Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about Chapter 6 of Book of Many Things, the Rogue Chapter. Book of Many Things, of course, is a brand new Dungeons & Dragons canon hardback. It's incredibly exciting that it's out, and today we're going to talk about Book of Many Things, Chapter 6, specifically talking about the Heroes of Destiny section of Chapter 6, Rogue Chapter of Book of Many Things, the brand new D&D canon hardback. All right, so let's get into this. So, Heroes of Destiny is a section within Book of Many Things that allows dungeon performers, that's people who play Dungeons & Dragons, to select or randomly determine their origin story. And so basically, let's talk about the C22, the deck of many things with 22 cards, and which can now serve as which can fully replace the D20 in Dungeons & Dragons. If you don't know what the C22 is, look below. You will see the new C22, which I configured based on the inspiration within the Book of Many Things. And Book of Many Things says very clearly you can generate random results with the C22, the 22 cards in the deck of many things. So there's this section where it says, hey, you can use the deck of many things to determine your origin story, and there are 22 origin stories, right? You're on Scott Garibay's channel. We talk about more, right? We talk about what Dungeons & Dragons actually is, in my humble opinion. All right, so let's talk about this. So let's talk about my origin story, and then let's talk about Dungeon Performer's origin story, and in my opinion, what the deck of many things is actually for, what its highest purpose is. Okay, when it comes to origin stories. All right, so what is Scott Garibay's origin story? I'll tell it to you right now. So I was born to my Basque father, and I was born to my Mattapanai mother, and they loved me the best they could, and they were incredible parents that I am so thankful for to this day. In 1982, they bought me the Red Box, which changed my life forever, and in 1985, they brought me to one instance of youth group at our local church, and and I had been going for a while, but they took me on this one night, and I listened to the youth pastor, and I had been asking questions for months, and then that youth pastor explained to me how to become a Christian, and that changed my life forever, right? So, and I think those are the two most. There are many life events, right? But those two are absolutely critical path life events. I have many other life events that were absolutely critical to me, but I want to keep the focus of this video, right? And so that's my origin story. That's Scott Garibay's origin story, right? And I'm incredibly thankful for that origin story, and I'm proud of that origin story, and that's who I am, and that grounds me. That's my identity, right? But not all dungeon performers have that. In fact, I actually had a dungeon performer who had not talked to his mother or father in over a decade, right? And they were abominable parents. And no one ever gave him the Red Box, and he never came to Jesus. And so he had an absolutely abominable origin story that he was ashamed of and that he told no one, right? Everything I just told you was pieced together, right? Like, over comments here and there, right? And if you asked him what his origin story was, he was far more likely that he would be traumatized rather than eager to share, right? So what if you have an abominable origin story? Well, you're now a dungeon performer. Welcome. Gary Gygax's legacy embraces you and allows you to move past your origin story, right? Which sucks, and you tell no one, and you're ashamed of, and is really just filled with trauma, okay? So if you're that kind of dungeon performer, guess what? They just launched the Book of Many Things. And in the Book of Many Things, it's saying, hey, as a dungeon performer, you can choose, you can randomly determine your actual origin story, in my humble opinion, right? So any other box standard channel would be like, this is what they use for their player character, right? But I'm saying this could be used for the dungeon performer themselves, right? And so, and you're like, whoa, that's kind of odd. Well, guess what? The Deck of Many Things is literally like designed after the tarot deck, which people use to determine the direction of their life. This is simply determining the direction of your life backwards to your start, right? So my point is, you could use this, and you could, and if you're a dungeon performer who has a horrible, right, or actual origin story, you can draw from the deck. You can make it, you can read the entire book, right, and say, you know what, I'm going to choose a new origin story, right, and then make a really epic draw from the Deck of Many Things. And I think it would be helpful to have your other dungeon performers and your other dungeon master and your dungeon master witness this and say, this is my new origin story, and going forward, this will always be my origin story, right? And and there's different ways you could do this. You could draw a blind from the deck, right? And if you look at how these things are written, they are written that they very much could function for an actual dungeon performer, not just the dungeon player, not just the player character, right? And so you could draw from this, and that's your origin story going forward. And every decision you make, you remap your own history, right? You see where I'm going with this? And these people, your dungeon master and your dungeon performer, can help you set into place this new history, right? The history you choose. That's powerful. That is relevant. That is dramatic. That is dynamic. That is how we roll as real dungeon masters and real dungeon performers. And I think that's really what I mean when I say dungeon performer. Not some schmuck D&D player, right? A real dungeon performer, what others would call a player of Dungeons & Dragons. This is where it starts, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. And that's not really the important part. The important part is when I hear what you think. I hear what you think. Do you know someone who could use a new origin story? Right? Are you willing to, to witness? Are you willing to be the witness? Right? Are you willing to make a difference in somebody's life and allow them to rewrite their own history with Gary's legacy? Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I hear yours. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.